The last dance for the Beef Up Front 2024-2025 season. Hard to believe we are already here, but Super Bowl 59 is here. It feels like just yesterday we were breaking down Eagles, Packers, Brazil. Now here we are, round two, Eagles, Chiefs. Eagles looking for redemption down in New Orleans. I still find it crazy. The first ever trip for me to New Orleans results in the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl there. Been a wild, wild year, but I think these are the two best teams, and I'm looking forward to getting into the game. But Kev, welcome back. How are we? And can you believe it's Super Bowl time already?
Yeah, no, this past weekend was not great. No football. Got a little taste, warm up of what it's going to be like for the next couple of months with no football. Obviously, big week this week. Looking forward to it a lot. I know they're at media day right now, so I'm sure we'll be seeing a ton of clips and stuff from all that later tonight and tomorrow.
The uh, the quickness of the season, I was kind of amazed at. It just really felt like it was a blink of an eye. I remember I was at a wedding, the first game, and I remember watching on my phone like the Saquon touchdown catch, and I can remember like that whole game, like start to finish, and now here we are already. It's pretty insane. But yeah, yesterday the first Sunday without football sucked. I think I slept till about noon, woke up, got lunch, came back, took a nap from like 3 to 5:30, and then I think I went to bed at 8. I was like, I forgot you got to kind of rediscover life and what life is like outside of the NFL. So it was a little weird. I didn't really like it, but hopefully the pain of this past weekend is worth the enjoyment that we get on Sunday night around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and we see the Eagles get their revenge and get that trophy back. But we're gonna break it down every kind of angle here. We got a bunch of stuff to get into. Obviously, we'll pick the winner, the spread, the over under. 5 prop bets each. We have anytime touchdown parlay where we each picked a from each team. We got coin toss. We got Gatorade. We got some fun ones. We got the X Factor. And then yeah, at the end we'll give our winner as well as our MVP for the Super Bowl. But I wanted to throw it back real quick to our Super Bowl 57 preview. I pulled up our exact document, and it's kind of funny how like to compare what we said to what actually happened in the game. My keys to victory in that game were the Eagles wide receivers exploiting the Chiefs cornerbacks. Jalen Hurts had his best day ever, arguably passing. Devontae had 99 yards. AJ had 75 yards, I think it was, and a touchdown. I think the Eagles receivers did their part. Your key for the Eagles defensive line creating constant pressure. That was the Eagles team that had the most sacks ever in a regular season. They didn't get one sack in that game. Obviously, the slippery turf was one of the main discussion points, but pretty crazy how that was your key, and they wound up getting 0 sacks, and I think that was the major difference maker in a 38-35 game. My key to the victory for the Chiefs was keeping Patrick Mahomes upright, and the Eagles, as we just talked about, didn't get a sack in that one. He was coming off that high ankle sprain as well, and he still had that really nice run, that key run late in the game too, that killed the Eagles. And your key for the Chiefs was running the ball effectively, and they did that. And the Eagles didn't run the ball effectively at all. Chiefs really ran all over the Eagles in that one. So pretty kind of insane how what we talked about there kind of played right into it. And obviously it was a great game, a great Super Bowl. But the final outcome wasn't what we liked, wasn't what we expected. See our picks for the game real quick. I had Chiefs 27-23. So I had Chiefs plus 1.5 and under 50.5. Basically the same spread this year. The total a little lower as of now. Wouldn't be surprised if it gets up to like 50 by kickoff. You had Eagles 30, Chiefs 23. So you got the over right, but the Chiefs there. I had Mahomes as MVP. You had Jalen Hurts. So pretty crazy there, just looking back on it from what happened before. But that's behind us. That's in the past now. I think this is a better Eagles team than that team, but we'll get into all that and more. We'll start off with our prop bet section. Obviously, the Super Bowl 59 preview here. First seed Chiefs out of the AFC versus the 2-seeded Eagles, 6:30 on Fox. Down at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Chiefs 1.5-point favorite, over under sitting at 48.5. Like I said, I think that could get up a little bit higher towards kickoff, but we'll go through our prop bet section first, Kev. What is your favorite prop bet for this game?
I'm going Mahomes plus 40 rushing yards, which is plus 134. He always seems to make plays with his legs in the biggest moments. He's averaging 47 yards per game in his or 43 yards per game in his 4 Super Bowl appearances, and then he also had 43 last week against the Bills. And I know knees can be a big thing affecting this prop, so hopefully he doesn't take any for this prop, and also for Eagles reasons, but I'm going Mahomes plus 40 rushing yards.
Yeah, I like that one as well. One of the props I took today, I just took his normal line. I think it was 30 and a half, 40, as you said, especially if they wind up winning the game. You kind of run the risk there of the knee downs. That makes you a little nervous because he's not like an explosive runner, but that's the big thing with him in these playoff games. It's like those 3rd and 8s. If Travis Kelce's not there, he's going to basically just take off. So that's something that the Eagles are definitely going to have to keep an eye out for. But I like that one. I'll go to the quarterback for my first player prop. I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts over 18 and a half completions at plus 100. Lock this one in this morning. I think the Eagles might look to be aggressive early and get ahead and then be able to lean on Saquon in the second half. We've seen Saquon take games over in the second half, especially with those game-breaking runs. The best way to do that is get ahead and get up early. I could see the Eagles kind of coming out and throwing the ball around the yard a little bit because the Chiefs are smart. They're going to look to take away Barkley. So I do think this is a game that we could see a lot of points in it as well. So I like Jalen Hurts over 18 and a half completions. Could certainly see him getting 24, 25, somewhere in that ballpark. And I think he has an awesome game. So give me that for my first player prop.
Yeah, so my next one is going to be a Hurts one that kind of goes hand in hand with yours. I'm going Hurts under 9.5 total carries, plus 102. Obviously, if he's throwing the ball more, he's going to be running the ball less. He has 9 or few carries in 5 of his last 7 games, and he's averaging 7.5 in the playoffs so far.
Yeah, I was a little wary on that one. I won't lie. I think I would actually probably, if I was picking that, take the over just because they could have 4 tush push scenarios. They could have 2 kneel downs sent in the game. You know they're going to run the ball with him around the goal line as well. So, personally speaking, that's one I would stay away from, especially in a big game like this. As I was just saying with Mahomes, like I think I got to have a type play. You could see Hurts look to use his legs on a first down. So that's what I'm going to stay away from. My second prop, I'm going with Saquon. Longest rush over 25 and a half yards at minus 110. He's gone over this in 10 of the 19 games he's played this year. Would be 11 if he didn't slide against the Packers on that long run. He would have had a touchdown on. He slid, decided to just ice the game there. Has just been a game breaker in the playoffs. When the Eagles need a big play, he makes it. I feel like if the Eagles are going to win this one, they need one of those, what we've kind of come to learn and love, a trademark Saquon 50-yard, 60-yard run for a touchdown. So I think if the Eagles win this game, it's going to be because of a big-time Saquon Barkley run in there. So give me the over 25 and a half for his longest rush.
Yeah, to sort of build off you here again, my next prop, Saquon 2+ TDs plus 300. Obviously, he can score running the ball, but we haven't seen a ton of him in the receiving game, especially down in the red zone. I think that could change this week as the Eagles maybe look to catch the Chiefs off guard a little bit.
All right, my third player prop, I'm going for my first one on Kansas City. I'm going to go with Xavier Worthy, longest reception of over 21 and a half, minus 110. I think when we know the Chiefs, this isn't the same offense that we've seen in the past, but they're still going to hit a couple explosive plays. It's inevitable, whether it's Patrick Mahomes creating or Andy Reid dialing up a creative play. They're going to have a couple big plays in this one, and I think Xavier Worthy is a guy that has shown a growing role in these playoffs and a growing trust from Mahomes and Andy. He's going to get the chances, get the opportunities, and I think he could certainly turn one upfield. And I like this too because the Chiefs get him the ball in a multitude of ways. Sure, he could have like a 21 and a half or 22-yard rush, and you wouldn't win this bet, but also you could get one of those little jet motion pop pass type plays, and he could have a big run off of that. So Xavier Worthy, longest reception over 21 and a half yards at minus 110.
Yeah, so I have an Xavier Worthy one as well now. Over 25 rushing yards plus 438. The Chiefs' running game with Hunt and Pacheco has struggled at points this year. Neither of them are averaging over 4 yards a carry this season. I think Worthy's going to get some attempts in the running game, and I think he's definitely able to pop one or maybe two, get over that 25-yard rushing mark.
All right. Fourth prop for me. I'm going to go with one that either team could hit in this, and it's the longest field goal of over 47 and a half at minus 105. I think one of these kickers inevitably is going to hit a long one. Jake Elliott has had his struggles this season, but he's been a very reliable field goal kicker, at least in the playoffs. Last week against the Commanders was the first ever field goal he missed in his playoff career. He's shown up clutch time and time again on his playoff field goals, and Harrison Butker, one of the better field goal kickers. I think we could say in NFL playoff history, he's been awesome. I'll talk about him in a little bit, but he's been awesome in his career in the playoffs as a Chiefs kicker. So I could see it being end of the half, end of the game. Somebody I think at one point is going to hit a big kick, and I could could definitely see it being for at least 50 yards. So give me over 47 and a half longest field goal.
Yeah, so my final prop, I'm going over 2.5 total players to have a passing attempt, plus 180. Teams love to break out special plays in the Super Bowl, keep the defense off balance. It's happened in 4 of the last 8 Super Bowls, that there's been at least 3 players to throw a pass. So in my opinion, 50-50 odds there at plus 180. I like that.
Yeah, that's a fun kind of creative one. Goes hand in hand with like the octopus bet as well. Few bets in these games that you would never really take in a regular season or a playoff game. I feel like you kind of got to throw in there for the Super Bowl. My final one, it's going to be like a swing for the fence one, but I'm going to go with Devontae Smith, 100 plus receiving yards. Lock this one in today at plus 650. A gut feeling type game, but I think this is a Smitty game. He's not really been held down in the playoffs, but the Eagles haven't really unleashed him. I think this is a game where they're going to look to take away Saquon. Dallas Goedert's been awesome in the playoffs. They could look to take away him. A.J. Brown obviously going to get a lot of attention. Devontae Smith could be kind of the forgotten man and the guy that does have a big game. He's certainly got the speed to make a play over the top, and in 3 career games as well against the Chiefs. 99 yards, 100 yards, and 122 yards, averaging 107 yards per game. I saw a graphic today. In players that have played a minimum of 3 games against the Chiefs, he's averaging the most yards of any player in NFL history. Guys like Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison were on that list as well. So Devontae Smith for my swing for the fence play, 100 plus receiving yards at plus 650 there. All right, that wraps up our 5-player props each. Go into a couple quick hitters here, some fun ones. Keep it simple. Coin toss, heads or tails?
Tails, always tails.
All right, I went with heads there. DraftKings gives you it at plus 100. I know a lot of other books like charge minus 105 or something. I don't know how on literally the only 50-50 bet sports, but give me heads there for the coin toss. Gatorade color, not a bet that I believe you can make, at least in Pennsylvania, maybe even the United States. But if you're an offshore book type of guy, what's your Gatorade color for the winning coach?
I'm going orange plus 400.
I'm going to go yellow plus 250. That's what the Eagles had last time they won, and also what they had in the NFC title game as well. So give me the Eagles yellow plus 250, kind of foreshadowing my potential winner there as well. All right, anytime touchdown parlay. We did 1 player from each team, from each of us. So 4-legger here. What's your leg for the Eagles, Kev?
I'm going A.J. Brown plus 170. I think we've both talked about it a little bit already. I think we both think that Jalen's going to be throwing the ball a little bit more this week. I think obviously A.J. being one of his favorite targets gets a TD out of it. And then I think Jalen's going to hopefully take a little more shots, a little more risk, throw it up to A.J., let him just battle for a 50-50 ball. And I think he comes down with one.
Yeah, that is one of my, if not my favorite pass from Jalen Hurts in Eagles uniform, that touchdown to AJ in the Super Bowl. A great play. You kind of just tossed it out there where he threw it up and AJ made kind of a great little head fake shoulder move on the cornerback, and he was able to kind of fake him out and just Hurts dropped the ball right in the bucket for the touchdown. So I could certainly see that happening again. My touchdown, I'm just going to keep it simple. With a parlay here, we got more legs, so you don't really got to worry about kind of the odds. I'm going to go with Saquon to find the end zone at minus 190. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, he's the best player in this game. I think he breaks a long one early to set the tone. I don't know if it's going to be the first play from scrimmage for the Eagles, like the NFC Championship, but I do think he breaks another long touchdown in this one. He's been so freaking good in the playoffs and down the stretch. I'd be shocked if he doesn't find the end zone again.
Yeah, mine for the Chiefs, I'm going Travis Kelce. Eagles are down a linebacker. Kelce always seems to show up in the playoffs in the middle of the field. I expect him to get a touchdown here.
All right, my chief, I'm going to go with Xavier Worthy. I talked about him earlier, but he's had a growing role throughout the later part of the season. He scored, I think it was even the first touchdown of the season, at least for the Chiefs at the beginning of the year. But he's at plus 155. He's been involved a lot in the playoff games. He's averaging seven touches per game in the two playoff games. He scored last week against the Bills. I think he finds the end zone again. So you parlay Saquon, Xavier Worthy, AJ Brown, and Travis Kelce together. You get 25-1 odds there. I locked mine in today. I'm trying to find it exactly. I had a bonus bet for don't ask why of $18.92, but I put it on that and pays out 473 bucks. So that's what I'm rolling with for our final touchdown parlay of the season. Look see if we can hit it here in the big game. All right, we get into the X factor, the key for the game now. We talked about this at the beginning for the last Super Bowl. Mine was, or I think yours was, to create constant pressure on Mahomes. Eagles got no sacks. Then we said also Chiefs' goal was to keep them upright, and they did just that, and they were able to go on and win the game. I think at the end that was a major difference maker. One turnover for the Eagles as well to the Chiefs none, in a 38-35 high-scoring affair. It comes down to the little mistakes like that. So, Kev, what is your X factor or your key to the game for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl?
It is the same one it was 2 years ago. I didn't even remember that that's what it was 2 years ago, but when I was thinking about this is what came to mind first. The Eagles pass rush. If they're able to get to Mahomes, I think they can definitely win this game. In the Super Bowl 2 years ago, you already mentioned it, they didn't do it, no sacks, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why they lost. And then also we saw in the Bucks Chiefs Super Bowl, the Bucks were just able to constantly get to Mahomes, and that was the biggest reason why the Bucks won that Super Bowl. So I think Eagles pass rush is the X factor for them winning here.
Yeah, one thing I saw too, it was a graphic. I think it was on Good Morning Football last week. One of the major differences in this Eagles defensive line in this pass rush compared to the last one is like the youth. Like a bunch of those guys were into their 30s by then. Fletcher Cox, Hassan Reddick, obviously. I don't know if he's 30 yet, but it was a much older group. You got a lot of youth and young legs up on that D line, whether it's Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat's still, relatively young. Brandon Graham, if he comes back, he's going to have fresh legs at least. You could count on that, but Milton Williams, Moro Ojomo, like all these young guys up on the line where they might be a little bit fresher at this time of year than the older players were. So that could be one of the differences. My key to the game, my X factor to the game, though, for the Eagles is take care of the football. In the Eagles' 3 losses this year, they've turned it over at least once in each game. I don't think that's a coincidence there. And in the last Super Bowl against the Chiefs, the Eagles turned it over once on the Hurts fumble that led to the Bolton scoop and score. One of the, if not the game-changing play in that one. The Chiefs did not turn it over at all in Super Bowl 57. And when you look at the Chiefs' playoff run so far, both the Bills and Texans didn't turn it over against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs still found a way to win the game. You got to play mistake-free, almost perfect football on offense and special teams. You can't afford to give them any extra opportunities. So the Eagles, to win this one, I really think they need to play turnover-free football. It's not reinventing the wheel there. It's keeping it simple, but you look at the games that the Eagles lost, they've turned it over. You can't afford to do that against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. X factor, key to the game for the Chiefs, Kev.
Yeah, so I Googled the definition of X factor, and there's two definitions that come up: a noteworthy special talent or quality, and a variable in a given situation that could have the most significant impact on the outcome. So, not to be too cliche, I am going Patrick Mahomes is the X factor. I think top to bottom, the Eagles roster is better, but the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, and that's all that they need to feel confident. That entire team, that entire fan base, he is that good. He is that scary. I think if the game's close, everyone's just going to believe that Mahomes is going to drive down the field, win the game. And I think everyone should feel that way because he has just done it his entire career. So for me, the X factor for the Chiefs is just having Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, my biggest nightmare in this game is like the Eagles put up a similar performance to last time. They go down. At last time, they had to go down and score and get the 2 before giving the ball back to the Chiefs. And then obviously we know the Chiefs just needed to go down a field goal, which they eventually did. Eagles were in a position to get off the field and get the chance to go down, score, and win themselves. But my biggest nightmare is like the Eagles score and we're under the 2-minute warning and still too much time for Mahomes. Whether he needs to go get a field goal to win, a touchdown to win. I just want it to be a situation where he doesn't have the ball last. If the Eagles have to go down the field and they need to get a field goal or they need to get a touchdown themselves and they are unable to convert and we lose that way, obviously still be crushed, but so be it. But I'd feel a lot better going down swinging like that than sitting on the sideline watching Mahomes drive down the field again and score on us. I'm having bad PTSD already, but that's certainly the key. Obviously, with the quarterback there, you never feel confident when he's on the other sideline. But remains to be seen. But my X factor, my key to the game, I'm actually going to go to the special teams angle for the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the X factor, and the key for them is their kicker, Harrison Butker. Looked back at his kicks for these last 3 playoffs, including this one, as they're, as we know, on the road to a potential three-peat here. But he's 5 of 5 on extra points and 3 of 3 of field goals this playoffs. He was 8 of 8 on extra points and 11 of 11 on field goals last playoffs, and was 10 of 10 on extra points and 6 of 7 on field goals in 2022. So he's 23 of 23 on extra points and 20 of 21 on field goals the last 3 playoffs. One of, if not the most clutch kicker that we've seen in NFL playoff history. You can put up Gostkowski up there, Adam Vinatieri up there. But Harrison Butker, especially if the Chiefs do find a way to the three-peat, his name's going to be up there as one of the greatest kickers of all time for sure. The Eagles, as we know, a lot of times this year, especially like in the last 2 minutes of a half or the last 2 minutes of the game, they play like that bend, don't break type style. If there are times that the Chiefs offense kind of stalls out, and they're able to move the ball down the field, but the Eagles' red zone defense shows up, Harrison Butker is going to be counted on to make kicks. And I said it earlier, too, over 47.5. I think he's a weapon, especially in a dome stadium. He could hit a 55, 60-yarder as well. So the Eagles, I don't think, have much confidence in Jake Elliott right now with his struggles this year. And the Chiefs, I think, have all the confidence in the world in Harrison Butker, who coming into this game, his last 3 playoffs is 23 of 23 on extra points and 20 of 21 on field goals. So in big games like this, offense, defense, and even special teams matters a ton. And the Chiefs, I think, kind of have the leg up on that as of right now. All right, Kev, all that being said and done, prop bets, touchdown parlays, every week this season. I think we missed 1 week all year when you were in Australia. We just weren't able to link up, but everything comes down to this final game, final decision, who wins, who covers, total over or under, and who's the MVP of the game come Sunday night around 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern time.
I've been thinking about it all week, and I still don't know. I truly struggling with this game because I believe they are that equal. The Eagles, obviously, I think, have more talent top to bottom, but as we've both talked about already, the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. But I'm going to just go with the Eagles because that's what I want to happen. In order to do so, I think they're going to need to play an incredibly clean game. They cannot make the same mistakes they made 2 years ago. That means Jalen cannot turn the ball over. They cannot let up a big special teams play like they did to Kadarius Toney 2 years ago. And then they also cannot commit critical penalties like Bradbury did 2 years ago. But I did hear Jalen ask this week what's different about this game, this team, this matchup than 2 years ago. And he just replied and said Saquon Barkley, which is true. He has truly brought a new dimension to the Eagles as he can carry the offense. In previous years, Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift were nice complements to the offense, but Saquon just makes explosive plays himself. Jalen doesn't always need to make those huge plays. I do believe Jalen will need to make some big plays here, though. But Saquon's ability also allows the Eagles to run the clock late and hopefully never even allow Mahomes to get the ball in his hands late in the game like you were just talking about a couple minutes ago. Because if Mahomes does get the chance with the ball late in the game, I think he's just going to take advantage of it. The Chiefs' offense has been getting better in the past couple of weeks as well. Their O-line is not elite, but we did see, as I talked about before as well, the Bucs-Chiefs Super Bowl. The way to beat Mahomes is getting pressure and making him uncomfortable. I think this should be an awesome game. Obviously, super excited for it, looking forward to it. But my final prediction for the game, I'm going Eagles 31, Chiefs 27. So Eagles cover the 1.5, over 48.5. And my MVP, I'm going Saquon plus 260. I think he's going to be leaned on this leaned on in this game so much, and he's just could continue to produce like he has all season.
All right. I'll go to my grave saying this, unless like a documentary, if the Eagles wind up becoming like a dynasty or something, and a documentary comes out or someone writes a book. But I still will always want to know what actually transpired during that 2023-2024 season. For them to start 10-1 and collapse like they did was just insane. But for them to rebound like the way that they have has been so impressive, and it's just such an awesome, underrated kind of part of this NFL season, I think. But over the last 3 seasons, these have been the best two teams in the NFL. You take out that whatever their 6-7 game stretch was to end the year last year. These have been the two best teams in the NFL, and I'm glad the Eagles had the chance for redemption and the ability to kind of finish what they started going into that 2022 season. Even held the 2021 season where Nick took over and Jalen became the full-time starting quarterback. This Eagles team just seems so locked in and so not just satisfied for being here and being in the moment. And I think the biggest thing for me going into this game from an Eagles perspective is we know the narrative with Hurts is that he played his best game ever against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. He balled out, rushing, passing, outplayed Patrick Mahomes on the biggest stage. But they still lost the game. And I'm sick and tired of people saying he outplayed Patrick Mahomes. He still lost the game. He still fumbled, and he probably had the biggest mistake in the entire game as well. And I think Jalen Hurts would be the first one to tell you that, because he doesn't want his best game as an Eagle, his best game in his NFL career, his college career, his high school career, whatever you want to call it, on the biggest stage to be known as he had a great game, but he still lost. Jalen Hurts puts winning above everything else more than anyone in the entire NFL, I think. And I truly believe that it eats at him every single day that people continue to say that. He could go out here and have 100 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown, and I don't think he would care, because the Eagles found a way to win the game. That's how much it means to him, and how much he would rather have a Super Bowl than be remembered as having a great game as a loser. It comes down to that at the end of the day. You look at Jalen Hurts, he's won a lot in his career, but he's also finished second a lot in his career as well. And I think this is an overriding kind of narrative of this game, that he's looking at the best he can to bring this home. And looking at this Eagles roster, I think it's much better than the 22 squad when you put them up against each other. Sure, guys like Jason Kelsey, a Hall of Famer there, potential Hall of Famer, and Fletcher Cox aren't here. But the youth, the infusion of young talent on this team, I just think is such a difference maker in this game. And obviously, too, you touched on it, this team has Saquon, that team didn't. You never want to bet against Patrick Mahomes, 15 on the other side. But if there's one team that can do it and beat them, it's this Eagle squad. No team has ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row, and I'm not going to say it's going to start now. Not going to happen on this Eagles team's watch. I think this is a super motivated team. No more motivating factor than the playoffs and ending a potential three-peat here. I think the Eagles hoist Lombardi number 2 in franchise history. Finish the story from the past few years. Jalen Hurts wins Super Bowl MVP. We will see you on Broad Street. I'm going same exact score as you. Eagles 31-27. Eagles plus 1.5 over 48.5 there. And that'll wrap it up. Hopefully this time with a better ending than last time. But I think we're in for another all-timer on Sunday night, Kev. But any last second comments before we head out? And look forward to next season, where I assume we'll be back in this seat again. Looking forward to hopefully the Eagles defending their title.
Yeah, no, it was a great season of NFL, and we're both taking the same score, so I might need to put in a little exact score bet and hopefully a nice little payout if that actually happens.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for tuning in all season long, as always. Please be sure to like, subscribe. We'll be full-fledged college basketball here on the channel from here on out, going forward to March Madness. And then even I think we'll be diving into some NFL draft stuff as well in the coming weeks. But thank you, everyone. As always, go Birds. Please like, subscribe, and we will talk next season.